What would you like to be remembered for?
For all the good things that I might have done.
It may seem like a simple answer, but 10 years after her death, Marie Belcastro's hope has come true.
When we remember my grandmother, it's happy memories. She was little, she was feisty, and just had a heart full of love.
Those who knew her best say at 94 years old, Belcastro was full of life, independent, funny.
Just wanted to tell you a joke, but I won't want it on there.
But above all, kind.
I think she was one of the sweetest people to ever live in Niles, and I think everybody loved her, and they were all huge fans of her.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine.
She was an angel on earth, I think.
It was on this day in 2015 the unthinkable happened. Belcastro murdered in her own home on Cherry Street in Niles. Prosecutors say 15-year-old Jacob LaRosa beat and tried to rape her.
Some cases stick with you for forever. There were 3 different locations where he assaulted her, both physically and, of course, sexually. And in those locations, the blood and the damage were just horrific.
Assistant Prosecutor Chris Becker says it's one of the most brutal murders he's ever seen.
It tells you a couple things when you see that. First of all, you know you're dealing with a psychopath, just an absolute animal that needs to be locked up forever. No person, no matter what, treats another human being this way. When you see that, you know you have to try and get the longest possible sentence for that individual because it was horrific. And this wasn't a random crime. She had given him cookies. He had, knew who she was. He had been in the house by previous accounts. Jacob snuffed out that life for basically a couple bottles of booze.
LaRosa was prosecuted as an adult. In 2018, he pleaded no contest and was ultimately convicted of the charges. His sentence, life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 30 years.
That gave us a great sense of closure.
For Belcastro's family, that feeling only lasted until 2021, when legislation signed into law gave most juvenile offenders, including LaRosa, a chance at parole after 25 years, and if denied, every 5 years after.
The whole situation really definitely ripped open old wounds.
I think it's unfair to families who had already been through enough to lose a loved one, and then the manner of death being murder, and then the 3.5 years of courtroom drama, and then to finally get a sentence. Wow, we can breathe. Well, the legislature thought, not so fast. We've got something else in mind. I thought it was very unfair and frankly evil.
Our Ohio legislature then retroactively gave murderers like Jacob LaRosa really a break and a reduction in their sentence. They retroactively reduced the sentence, and throughout all the hard work that the law enforcement officers, the crime scene investigators, the people at BCI, the prosecutors, the judges, all the hard work that these people had done.
Belcastro's grandson, Brian Kirk, has been fighting this law.
It's just beyond comprehension.
An amendment included in Senate Bill 288 2 years later only slightly walked back the change by extending the time frame between parole hearings to every 10 years.
It's not enough, and it's certainly, in my personal opinion, it's like putting your finger in a hole as big as a car trying to stop the dam leak. It still means that these families every 10 years are going to have to relive that crime and relive that tragedy.
If it's that, loosey-goosey and flexible, I would love to shame these people in Columbus into doing their best to rescind it.
As it stands now, LaRosa will be 40 years old at his first parole hearing in 2040.
I know that my grandmother was a woman of deep faith, and she would have wanted us to pray for him. I will certainly be there to speak my piece. I forgive Jacob on a spiritual basis, and I hope God can use him where he is. But I think that society needs to be protected from him, and he needs to serve his time. I'm still working on forgiveness for the Ohio legislature.
As Belcastro's family pushes to right what they thought was justice, her memory lives on.
I've lived a good life, and like I say, I don't worry about tomorrow. When the time comes, that's it.
I know she's in a better place.
My great-grandmother was a really sweet person, and I don't think she'll ever truly be forgotten.